Welcome to the Bladtcast. Very excited for all of you there in the chat live watching at the moment. Very exciting. This is our 442nd episode. And after doing 441 shows, clearly I've run out of people to talk to because joining us today is my mom.
Hey, how are you all out there?
So ready to be professional and loud, just walking right past the backhanded compliment, downright insult. But she's known me long enough that that's not a surprise. So the most important question. Sorry about that, everyone. little tech issue that was, of course, unforeseen. Obviously, for those that are still watching, everything was set, but we've got two people in one spot that is not what we wanted. But it's all right. See, look, there's my mom. Yeah, so there we go. That was unfortunate, but that's all right. We'll fix it in post. It's going to look great. But because we got all these people here that are saying hi. So we'll get over there in a moment. But want to make sure everybody can hear us because I'm actually, as you can tell by the little narrow video, I'm just doing it on the phone for the moment. Just went right out at an inopportune moment. Probably just the fact that the plug came out the slightest bit. How do you feel about technical difficulties?
I'm very familiar with them. I hate it when technology makes me feel stupid.
Yeah, well, I don't even know that it's making me feel stupid, just careless at the moment, just needed to be more careful. And we'll get the we'll get things back up and running like for real in a second. But see if I do it this way, at least it looks a little bit better,
There we are together.
This is what we want it to look like, even though this is not what it sounds like. Yeah, and Corby says hi, Christian's mom, but he's also commenting on I hate stupid technology. Stupid technology also hates stupid people, and that's probably me, but that's all right. That's quite all right. So once the real system gets up and running, that's when the fun's going to start for real. But we didn't want to lose all of you nice people there in the chat while we were doing all of this. Sam Whitfield with a nice hi. That's a pretty cool looking avatar now, Sam. Good job.
Look at that.
Oh yeah, see, my mom wants to see it.
I see it.
See, it's
yeah.
Is that zombie Sam Whitfield that you're going for? And people are saying hello to you.
Hi, everyone.
You can say hi to Raging Rhino.
Hi, Raging Rhino.
Yeah, is that something you ever thought you would say?
I never thought I would say that.
Yeah.
I thought I might say, there's a Raging Rhino.
Yeah, that would make more sense. So we'll take a moment just for some small talk. And how are you enjoying Los Angeles on this trip?
Oh, we're having a wonderful time. We've been to Disneyland, California.
Yeah, which we'll get more into in a little bit. But it's fine. No, it's fine that you mentioned it. But don't spill all the secrets.
And of course, my grandchildren are just wonderful.
Well, that's just because you see them once in a while. It's if you had to live with them, you might feel differently. But they're both cute. I can say that for them for sure. So this is a good point to start queuing up questions that people have for my mom. Questions that you think that I might not want to answer. You can ask questions. I have questions for my mom as well, of course, because apart from my inability to operate technology, I'm a consummate professional. just not quite as much when it comes to actually keeping the show up and running. But that's all right. And we've lost my mom for a moment because she needs a tissue because it's so emotional to be sitting this close with someone as famous as I am. So get your questions there in the chat. We will put them up in the screen. Just remember, she's my mom. So watch yourself, Sam. All right?
You each only get the F word once.
Okay. Well, you know what? That's a lot less than usual, but you guys are going to have to make allowances. You know, I think that's so we're glad to see a lot of people in there. Love that Corby's here. Dominicus Saxon, of course, and the aforementioned Sam Whitfield. But let's see. So Corby says, I love you, but how about you just give your mom the phone and let her go? We have listened to you for 441 episodes. It's not a bad point. And I will probably reuse that comment once we are up officially instead of the handheld. This is the Aaron Sorkin walk and talk portion of the show, except we're not walking, but it is handheld. So it's very cinema verite, as it were. But so we will get to those questions. There's so many questions to get to. I'm already seeing them. And yeah, see, Sam makes a great point. I'm not Liev. I won't hit on your mom. If Liev were here, he would. But you know what? Liev is actually he's in Hawaii with his girlfriend. So he has no time for Bladtcasting when he's gone to Hawaii. But that's all right. I don't blame him. I'm as much as it's great to see my mother. Given the choice, if I could be sitting right here in Hawaii, I would certainly go to Hawaii. But anyway, in a moment, we're going to get back to the actual presentation of what we want this to look like. So everybody hang on just for 1 second, and I'll be right back. I mean it. I'll be back for real.
With me?
Yeah. And see, look, we're back. We're back for real this time. All right. So we had a minor tech issue, which was a complete loss of power, and we've lost a number of our people in the chat. So sorry about that, everybody, but it's all right. So the most important thing that I wanted to ask my mom is that she has said that she watches the Bladtcast and enjoys it. And in all honesty, I need to ask why and how does one put themselves through that? Not to mention your husband, Patty, making him sit there and watch the Bladtcast.
Well, we were kind of stuck in the house. They wouldn't let us out.
That's fair.
And we had little else to do. So we said, oh, let's give this show a try.
This has been a great time for the Bladtcast. When you literally have a captive audience that can't go anywhere else. And they've watched everything they already had. It has led to some great proliferation of just the sheer number of episodes, the number of shows that we do. But I guess the more important question is, how amazing has it been for you to be my mom? That must be, I can't even imagine what that's like.
I can't even put words. I can't put it into words, how amazing it is to be your mother.
All right. I don't think I like that answer. But Kame Egan wants to know, what aspect of Christian's career are you most proud of besides being a good father? Probably my short stint as an exotic male dancer, but you can please pick your own answer. You don't have to actually take the answers that are provided with.
I actually think Christian is a fabulous interviewer. He listens. He never corrects his guest. He shows that he's listening to them. He asks great questions and lets them talk. And that's great interviewing skills.
So what do you think is the thing you're most proud of in being my mother?
The most proud.
No, see, that was me being a bad interviewer. See,
I see.
I basically just asked you the same question.
I see.
Here's a decent question, also from Cam Egan. Did you ever think that Christian had too many comic books growing up?
Yes.
I do still have them, though. You know?
We were reading one together, and I went to fold the cover back, and he goes, "No,
can't do that. You can't. You know."
I never tried to do that again.
Yeah. Dominicus Saxon is agreeing that I'm a tremendous interviewer, so we're going to go ahead and probably spend the rest of the show on that. He does remember that Don McLean of American Pie fame was hit with a question he'd never heard before. What I think you meant to point out, Dominicus Saxon, is that Don McLean's direct quote was, "These are great questions." And I think that it's very important to say. What I will say about Don McLean, his song American Pie may be showing up in a movie that a lot of you are going to see very soon. But I can't, I shouldn't divulge secrets. But you may be seeing that song again sometimes soon. By the way, Corby wants us to know that he is still here. So when we had a technical difficulty earlier, we did a little bonus content that I'll probably put at the end of the episode of the audio version. But Corby wanted to point out that while he loves me, and really that's enough, but I'll read the rest. How about you just give your mom the phone and let her go? We've listened to you for 441 episodes. So yeah, Mom, if you did a show, what would you talk about every week?
My wonderful children, not just Christian.
No, I think you've used too many words there. I think you want to cut out the middle part where you say my wonderful Christian.
I should have said just Christian.
If I want to, I could create audio that says that. But that's fair, I think. So you would just talk about the kids and all these grandchildren. Good question from Sam Whitfield. He's switched avatars. Are you the reason why Christian has a sense of humor? Before my mom answers that, I will point out that, a lot of times you'll hear comedians talk about why they have such a good sense of humor. And the answer is so often that, well, my father was so funny growing up. And I will point out that is absolutely not the case. My dad told a lot of jokes, but they were, you know what? I'm not going to say never funny. Let's see. I know it's been a while, but I would say for my dad, do you think 1 in 100 were funny?
Well, do you remember? I told you something was his second best joke, and what was your question?
And I asked, what was his first best joke?
And I said, you.
Well, that answers the question that my mom was the funnier one of the two, and my mom had a good sense for some things that were funny, but
timing. It's all about the timing.
Right, exactly. And I think at a certain point, you just start to realize that anyone's parents shouldn't be the sole arbiter of what they think is funny. But we would see a lot of comedy. We would watch, the comic relief special that would be on every year, and you'd see a lot of comics on that. Stand-up comedy on HBO. Remember there was a special that they did. This was probably like 87, 88. It was called Women of the Night, and it had Ellen DeGeneres, Judy Tenuta, who was big for a minute, but boy, did people get tired of that accordion. Paula Poundstone, and I think somebody else. So, I think there was definitely, exposure coming. I think you and my brother actually once saw Bill Hicks perform when we were in North Carolina. Yeah, I did not go to that because
you weren't old enough.
Yeah,
and I didn't make you a fake ID.
No, not for a comedy show. You would have needed to try to convince people that at 12 I was 21, and and I think at a certain point, when I'm like, well, I think something's funny, and then the fact that my mom maybe doesn't think it's funny might just reinforce the idea that I'm like, I'm probably right that Monty Python is funny, even though you didn't like it. But
But I liked it when you two did it at the dinner table, you and your brother.
Well, I mean, obviously the two of us are better than the five of them any day.
Yes,
I mean, come on,
of course.
And Cami Egan appreciated the timing on that one, and also remembers the Women of the Night special. I'm gonna have to look up who else was in it, because there was somebody else. It was, oddly enough, it was called Women of the Night, but it was hosted by Martin Short. So I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they asked Joan Rivers, or somebody, and they were like, sure, if you give me a lot of money. And this being, well, HBO at any point, but especially HBO in the 80s, they were just going to say, no, we're not going to give you what you think you're worth. And for some reason, Martin Short said yes. Maybe I believe he has the same manager as Dennis Miller, so maybe maybe Gervitz talked him into it. So I don't remember who else was on it, though. I remember the host segments with Martin Short, but yes. So definitely had a lot of these people on it. The reason why we don't no, this isn't quite the right one. I think this is something different, but we'll find out. Anyway, and Dominica Saxon remembers all those stand-up comedians from the 80s. Raging Rhino says the accordion was the best reason for the invention of the fast forward button. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Weird Al might disagree with you. And what I'll say about Weird Al and the accordion, when I was little, I always liked the song parodies, and he had some funny original songs too, but the song parodies were the big draw. And he would always have these medleys that would be him on the accordion singing songs of the day. He did one that was all Rolling Stones songs, and when I was little, I hated those song medleys. But then when you're older and you actually know them, you actually know the songs that he's doing. It's like, actually, this is pretty funny, But I think the accordion should only exist for comedic purposes, not for actual entertainment, And Corby says that you have a point, and he wants to hear about your other children. So why don't you take a moment? They've also never been on, by the way.
Well, of course not.
Yeah.
You had to have me first.
Right, exactly.
Jason has Christian has a 5-year-old brother, 5 years older brother. Yeah. He was named Jason, but calls himself Jake. He spells it Jekke, so nobody knows how to pronounce it. And the two of them would sit at the dinner table and do all kinds of skits from Monty Python. You would do Saturday Night Live, and then you had some of your own original skits. You had Ed and other Ed, who were dumber than dirt and lived on. Yeah,
but let's be honest. That was really just taking Daryl and Daryl from the second Newhart show.
Oh, yes, but you took it.
We just called them Ed. Yeah,
you just took it to other extremes.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, and don't forget my sister in case she sees this. I was just
going to mention that your brother lives in Greenwich Village.
Yes, don't look for him. You won't find him.
And then he has a sister who is 7 years younger than he is.
I'm right in the middle. That's why that's why clearly I crave attention so much, because literally it would be like, oh yeah, we know Jason, we've known him forever. Oh yeah, and then this is the cute one. Who's this? And I'm like, I used to be the cute one, and I certainly wasn't anymore. But
we are both middle children, and I will not be ignored as an adult. How about you, Christian?
No, I won't. And by the way, I do want to tidy up the conversation on Women of the Night, because the other comedian that I forgot was Rita Rudner, and she's of course very funny. I believe I've actually seen her perform in Vegas, I think. And then people will forget that Liz Winstead was on that, because she didn't go on to make a huge career as a performer, but she co-created The Daily Show. So obviously it was a good launching pad for that. So those are my siblings. They are, again, not here. And let's be honest, they're probably not watching. Dominica Saxon thinks that I'm the reason why you have a sense of humor. So that's interesting. I think that there's something to be said for that. In any case, so you feel like you enjoy when there's interviews, and what are some of the interviews that stand out from the Bladtcast, to circle back to the Bladtcast? What do you like? What do you think is a good Not so much good interviewing questions. What do you think makes a good interviewee, as they call them?
I want to talk about my favorite show. It's the one with the Muppets and the people behind the Muppets.
Oh, the one that I did.
Yes.
That was a long time ago.
That's my favorite show.
That was Bladtcast number 52.
52.
With and that is almost 400 Bladtcasts ago. And that was with Gene Beretta, aka Gene in Philly, and his brother Bill, who is he's the performer of a number of your favorite Muppets. Rolf, and he created Pepe the I was gonna oh my god. Do you I'm gonna send this to Pepe, and he is not gonna be happy that you thought he was a cockroach. He's a king prawn.
Oh, excuse me.
I'm like, cockroach. I'm sorry, Pepe. She doesn't know. Okay.
I don't watch Sesame
She
Street
drinks
anymore.
at night. Okay. And it's really eroded a lot of her sense of, obviously you're not a cockroach. If you thought that Rizzo was a cockroach, that would have made more sense because he's a rat. That was a good one. I thought that was fun. And maybe 400 shows later, Gene, maybe we could try and get you and Bill back on. But
not after your mother called him a cockroach.
Well, no. You didn't call Bill a cockroach.
That's true.
You called Pepe a cockroach, which is hardly the same thing. Yeah. And well, I remember one of the things that you were saying is you like when the people I'm interviewing remember my name.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It shouldn't be too hard because they look at the screen. For those that are watching the video version right there, it does say Christian DMZ. You don't have to remember my first and last name, but you should be able to remember that my name is Christian because you see that on the screen. Even when we record the show ahead of time, it's still up there. So they should know that.
Well, then maybe I'm just happy they use your name.
Yeah. Oh, no, they usually don't. And because I don't think they pay that much attention,
The one guy was there playing his guitar and writing stuff while you were asking him, and he's answering you.
Oh, yeah. No. And I always find that to be interesting because the people that always need to hold a guitar, there have been a few of those. And some of those will be showing up as audio episodes in the summer, but we have a whole stockpile of video interviews that are currently available at the Bladtcast YouTube page. And as always, that is spelled Bladtcast. I'm going to go scroll back to some of the earliest comments because, here's an important thing. Dominicus Saxon, when he joins us, always gets us lunch. And he wanted us to know that today's lunch is Pepperidge Farm Milano cookies, mint chocolate. So that seems like a great combination.
Do you like the chocolate raspberry ones? Because they would be my favorite.
And if you have any of them, Dominicus, you're going to need to share. I know you're in Idaho, but and here's what I like is that Cami Egan has chosen to take a break from work because her brain is fried. So that's always good. And we've got all these friends here. Yes, Dominicus Saxon noticed that the timer kicked back 13 minutes because I had to give us some extra time. At a certain point in life, there's no reason to rush anymore, is what my mom was saying just earlier, right?
Mm-hmm. We don't move very fast anymore.
Right, exactly. So you're not going to like Dominicus Saxon anymore. He says, no raspberry, gross, LOL. Yeah. And then Cami Egan loves the Muppets. And Corby says, if you have me on the show again, I'll hold my guitar. I don't actually play, though. Cami Egan, it's been a little. I think you were on to talk about the Dennis Miller option with Lindsay. And, I was thinking about this before, Mom, that this is the first time you're on the Bladtcast. But you were on the Dennis Miller show a few times.
Oh, yeah.
With Dennis. And I think you also called in without. I think you called in when I was hosting maybe one time, right?
Oh, at least once.
Yeah.
You were interviewing a young lady who was talking about people who use their cell phones too much.
I do remember that. Yeah, that was a really interesting book actually that she had written. That was in studio in New York that I was speaking
and then
with her.
I met Dennis Miller once.
So did I once.
Yeah.
I had lunch with him about a month ago. Salman and I went up there and we had a lot of fun. We laughed a lot. And let's just say we could not have recorded a podcast episode at that lunch. Nobody would have said any of the things that we said there. So Dennis was very nice to you, I assume. Because,
yes. Yeah. It was at his show in someplace, Red Bank, New Jersey.
Oh, that's right. I actually wasn't there. You went with your sisters.
And
I was trying to remember. I'm like, I don't remember meeting him, introducing you and all that.
No. And then he referred to us the next day on the radio show as Hannah and her sisters.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, but you got to be Hannah, so that's
Well, of course.
and
Of course. I got a nice hug, and
Yeah.
he told me how much he loved you. I
Ah,
said he cleans up okay.
Sammy. And Kemi Egan points out that all of us are the weekly cast of characters who join your son for Marvel Movie Talk, which even I wasn't on Wednesday because one, I had not watched Loki episode 4 at that point, although I have now. But the other thing is that we went to Disneyland California Adventure. And on next week's Marvel Movie Talk, I'll share some photos and some accounts of going to the Avengers campus there, which was very exciting. And I will say this much. I will tease that show for next week, which will be Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, that Avengers campus is everything that the Galaxy's Edge Star Wars land should be. And there's an easy comparison for what Avengers Campus did right and for what Galaxy's Edge did not do right. But you got to go to California Adventure, not your first time there.
No.
But I think there's a lot of different stuff there than the last time you were there.
I think it's got a lot more stuff than that.
Yeah,
it didn't have a lot.
No, they've really built it up. So there's the Avengers Campus, there's Cars Land, which you don't even have to like the Cars movies, and I've only seen the first one. And boy, there's an easy 20 minutes to cut off that thing. But anyway, but the Cars Land is really well done. It's cute, and the one car racing ride always has like an hour wait, so we didn't go anywhere near it. Mm-hmm. But what did you think of the new and improved California Adventure, Mom?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I don't want to talk too much about,
But you can talk about what you like. It's all right. You can talk about what you like.
Spider-Man
you can talk about the Spider-Man ride. That's fine.
I got the highest score, but I can't say that in front of the children.
No. They
I got over 149,000.
Yeah, we tried to help them. You get to shoot spider webs, which is pretty cool.
You just sit there like this, and then sometimes you hit things.
Dominicus Saxon, you son of a bitch. This week's Marvel Movie Talk was the best. Now you're just saying that. I'm only halfway through it, and I'm gonna bet that that Eric put you up to saying that was the best one. I watched half of it, but I fell asleep last night. So that'll tell you what I think of the show when I'm not on it. And what were some of the other things that you liked at California Adventure?
The food was actually good. That's unusual in a Disney park, unless that's changed over the years.
It has definitely changed.
Yeah.
If you plan ahead and make reservations, there's actually some very nice restaurants. There's one there called Carthay Circle, which is it's the facade. The front is an old movie theater, which I believe is where they had the premiere for Snow White. Oh. So that's why not that location, obviously, and then at Disneyland, there's Blue Bayou, which is the restaurant inside Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. We've eaten there.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's Club 33, but you got to know somebody to get in there. And I
don't know anybody.
I knew somebody for a minute, but I don't know anybody anymore. And it's actually really hard to get in now. Now you have to actually go with the person who's a member. Oh. And, I don't want people I don't even want people to watch me eat who I know, so I don't need strangers to do it. Sam Whitfield is showing off his cred, saying, I'm one of Christian's friends going back to the old Dennis Miller radio show, as is Dominicus. That's true. They've both been around for a while.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I remember.
You guys have, and what I love about Dominicus Saxon is that I'm assuming that you don't have an employer who watches you too closely, because you always seem to find the time for all the live streams. You don't wait for the audio version. Don't wait for the translation. You just go ahead and you watch it, and that's always much appreciated. And Sam, I know you pop in when you can. I'm glad that everybody's here. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, me too.
Because sometimes when I do the musician interviews, I never promise them that there's going to be people in the chat, because I used to, and then there would be like one person who just didn't ask questions.
I want you to know, the one time I went into an interview, it said there was one person. I joined. It never said I was there.
But you have to actually type a comment for it to say you're there. Yeah.
Well, then I have to be on my computer to do that part.
Well, I'll have to show you, but you actually can do it on your phone.
No, on TV.
Oh, on TV. On
Oh,
TV.
we watch you on
Yeah.
TV.
Well, you need to see this nice and big. You know?
And then
you
if I
wanna make
want to
sure.
talk, I turn it on the
Yeah.
computer so I can say something.
Cami says, I haven't been to Disney in years. All the attractions sound like a blast. Or should I say Blatt? There's some good stuff. Look, the what I'll say about the Galaxy's Edge Star Wars land is that they do have a pretty cool Millennium Falcon ride, and you can get a great picture in front of the Millennium Falcon. And sometimes you might even find Chewie, but you got to look for him. Corby wants us to know where he is on a map. He's watching from Detroit. It's nice this time of year for inspecting sewer backup claims. Sorry that I stepped on your joke there. Dominicus Saxon has been working for 18 years. I do what I want. I put a moat around my cubicle, so they have me working from home now. And you know what? Corby Piet. Wait, it is Piet or is it Piet? Now I forget. Because there's a Piet in one of the Star Wars movies. There's an Admiral Piet. Yeah.
Or C. Piet.
That's where you're going to have to tell us. Are you related to the Admiral from Star Wars? Don't wait for the translation. Let us know. And then it's Piet. Yeah. All right. I like that he gave us an image of a pie and then he spelled it out because look, it's easier at restaurants if I can point to a picture. I'm not going to lie. If you have, I like Waffle House much more than my mom does. But the fact that I can just point to what I want, it's like, yeah, that waffle. Yeah, I want this in my hash browns. But we don't have those here. So whenever I am in the state of Florida, where my mom lives now, and I think you're there, Sam, sometimes it's hard to resist a Waffle House.
That's where we ate before we got on our plane to go to Seattle.
Well, when my wife Heather and I came home from our honeymoon, we got stuck in Atlanta, and we missed our connecting flight. And in all honesty, we'd been traveling so long at that point, the idea of just getting to sleep in a hotel and then travel back to Los Angeles the next day, it inconvenienced her sister who was picking us up. But we went to Waffle House that night, and it was across the street from this airport hotel. And then we ate at Waffle House again the next morning. So was that the best food of our honeymoon? I'm not going to lie. No, it was not. But to top 10 for sure.
I think I gave you Waffle House mugs.
I do have them. I could go get them, but then I will go.
But then he wouldn't be, the star of the show. I'd have you all to myself.
Yeah, and while somebody wanted that, I don't want that. And Sam points out he pops in for the Biden/Trump shows where poor Christian has to deal with the chat ripping on his co-host. I actually don't mind when they're actually just making points, and I think that the co-hosts of those shows enjoy the back and forth with somebody like Storage Yard Resident, who has like always watched that show in its various incarnations since it started, even though I don't think he agrees with anything that we say, but I love that he's always there. He won't miss it. And then he'll always say like, well, somebody's got to watch this thing. I'm like, all right, we get it. And you say that every week, buddy. But there will be people who are they flood the chat with their annoying comments. And I'm not talking about you, Sam. I think you know who I mean. It's just like, they just won't stop. And I'm like, well, I can't find the real comments mixed in. I don't read that fast. It's a little bit of work. We alluded to it earlier, and I believe I've mentioned this in interviews that I've done, but that I do give credit to my mom, the mom cred, for creating a fake ID for me, because I mention all the time that my first concert was Alice Cooper at the Ritz in New York City, I believe March 12th, 1990. But the Ritz was a 16 and up venue, which seems crazy because it's like, well, what's the point? Well, maybe it's a height thing. But I was 14. So what was your solution to that dilemma?
I made you a fake ID. I made you a school ID with a picture and everything that said you were 16.
Yeah. And they just looked at it. They looked at me and they're like, whatever, just go in. Because
with your mom.
Yeah, we got in early enough that I don't think it mattered. And there's only one show that I ever went to in New York, one concert I ever went to where it was 21 and up, and I wasn't 21 yet. But I realized this was in Manhattan. This was New York City. This was a place called the Mercury Lounge. I think it's down on Houston Street. It's not there anymore. So I just went into the bar part before the back room opened, before the room for the concert opened. and I wasn't trying to pull any fast ones. So I believe I just ordered a Coke at the bar, and I waited because I'm like, well, then ain't nobody looking for my ID, you know. And then as soon as the door opened, I just paid in cash, and the guy didn't even blink, you know. So that was my first concert, and I had that fake ID. I think I do have it somewhere. I saved it because you laminated my actual school ID. You put a sticker over it that made me 2 years older. So I was, what you did is basically you created a document that said I was an idiot, because that would mean I was 16 in 8th grade. But you know, neither here nor there. You know, they took a look at me and was like, well, if he likes Alice Cooper, he's probably not that smart. But so I had it for a while, and then that was a big summer of concert going at the Orange County Fair Speedway, because in the same week I post these tickets periodically. I saw Kiss and then Aerosmith. You went to the Aerosmith concert. The Kiss concert was $15, and that's like clean $15. There's no surcharges after that. The Aerosmith concert was $20. Now you can't even park at to see either of those bands for $15 or $20. I wish it was a joke, but it's true. You can't. I saw I saw both Kiss and the Forum, Kiss and Aerosmith at the Forum in the last few years. I believe it was $25 to park. So at some point, well, here's a good question. So Sam wants to know if you're a rock fan, and if so, favorite bands. Maybe not. I don't think he's asking, you know, if you like any of the current bands. I don't think.
Of course
that's what he means.
Alice Cooper.
Sure, you know.
Aerosmith is good. I sometimes just gotta bang my head, and I need the head banging music.
Sure, you know.
I like Queen. They're good to sing to in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's a long drive, then you can do all of Bohemian Rhapsody.
People think I like Harry Connick Jr. I can't stand him.
He's not great, but I will point out that he is actually part of my wife and my wedding song. Oh. His song, his rendition of It Had to Be You, and I know that's not originally his song, but it's not because we're huge Harry Connick Jr. fans. It was actually because when Heather's sleeping or very tired, she would often just say things that were nonsensical. So one time she blurted out like that line, "It Had to Be You," and then I explained it to her the next morning. We had a good laugh, and so then that became our wedding song. But the first part of our wedding song is that we danced to Tequila, the big shoe dance from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. There's video of that somewhere, but I don't think I want to share.
And then you danced from Pulp Fiction, the two of you.
No. It's only that. It was,
really? I always thought it was from Pulp.
No, it's from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, the big shoe dance.
Well,
yeah, it's that song Tequila, which you probably remember because that's the word.
Yeah,
to the song.
The only lyrics.
Corby, I lived in Orange County in 87, 88. We may have crossed paths. This is Orange County, New York. So probably not. Middletown, New York is the site of many concerts. They weren't doing concerts there for a long time, but I believe they've started again. Raging Rhino is a good question for you, Mom. Ever sing karaoke like Christian? Nobody sings like me. Okay, nobody has that level of skill. But he's asking specifically about...
As a family, we have sung karaoke. One song we do as a family, Bohemian Rhapsody. And all of us have done it. Franny, that's my son Jason's wife, was even in the group.
Yeah. It's parts of that song are probably more pleasant to listen to us as a family sing than others. Maybe the end part. Cam A. Egan, my father, who was a retired Chicago police detective, did the same for my sister so she could see Journey. So if a police detective is making fake IDs, it's got to be okay, Sam grew up listening to my mom's Led Zeppelin LPs, so I can relate.
Oh, yeah, I listened to those.
Yeah, that was something that I found when I was a kid. My dad had a lot of vinyl, a lot of records, and I never had any appreciation for vinyl, but I would tape them, and so I had like all 6 of the Doors records that count. other voices doesn't count. Or Jim Morrison, this is one they did without Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
You're kidding? Like who wanted that?
Yeah, they're the other voices.
Who was like, yeah, the Doors are okay with Jim Morrison, but who needs him? You know?
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to disagree. Raging Rhino says, I think we'd like to hear a little of
the
Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm sorry, I'm resting my pipes. And then Corby Pyatt says, I feel like my parents didn't love me now. There's still time. If your parents are still with us, they could absolutely still make a fake ID for you. One of the other things that I reference a lot when I talk about my mom, and not about how maybe I should be in therapy, but it's more about science fiction and how much you liked science fiction. And I always give my cred for how we grew up with Star Trek, because because that was in your home. But explain how Star Trek, during its initial run on NBC, it was so important to you. You would plan your whole weekend around it, right?
Well, yeah, it was on Friday, and we didn't date. I didn't date on Friday. I watched Star Trek, and that was my first husband.
Yeah, well, yeah. Also, it's like
I was in high school.
Yeah, you don't need anybody coming over and distracting you from Star Trek,
right? But Star Trek was the first television show that treated science fiction intelligently. And that's why I liked it. Yeah, it was cheesy and the sets were terrible, but it had a brain. The same time Lost in Space was on, and to me that was like a cartoon. That's very cartoony. I've never had much interest in that, and I would say that they were very smart. Obviously, Rod Serling was smart in the same way. You can use fantastical storytelling and science fiction to address real world issues. Such a simple thing as the race where the people, this side of their face is black and that side of their face is white, but they hate the people. The right side is white. Yeah. It's the wrong side. Right. That's exactly. And so then they hate the people that have the line down the middle. And it's just, it's so like blatant, but it's obviously it's brilliant in that respect. And I think that's how a show that got canceled after 79 episodes lived on and became the empire that it did, because people connected with it so much. They did a Lost in Space movie, but it was in like 2000, and Joey from Friends was in it. So how good was it going to be? But I mean, there was long before there was even the first Star Trek movie, they were going to do a new series. There was the animated series, so I think that, it made sense. And growing up, that was on. And I always use the example that we had a VCR before anybody that I knew, because you needed to record episodes. That's how you're a Trekkie. If you get a VCR and the first thing you do is record all the Star Trek episodes, you're a Trekkie. And I'm a Trekkie, not a Trekker. No. And because at that point in New York, in like the early to mid 80s, Star Trek was on at midnight on Channel 11. So we weren't staying up to watch it, but we would record it every night. Mm-hmm. And they didn't show them in any kind of order. And they would definitely repeat them sometimes, because I know that it took many months to finally get The Trouble with Tribbles, which I had never seen. Yeah. But you were like, this one is the one. This is the one. Yeah. And I think that's one of the most fun. That and Piece of the Action, where they're all 20s mobsters with Vic Tayback from Alice. Yes. Mel has a big part in that. Yeah. Those are probably two of my favorite Star Trek episodes. And then when they started releasing them on video, they were like 50 minutes, whereas like the cuts they would show on TV, like they'd cut a good 6 minutes out of them, But it was 10 years before there was an episode on that I hadn't seen. Yeah, it probably wasn't good. Well, it was okay. It was probably the Carbamite maneuver. Oh, that thing. But it got so that I could tell within the first 30 seconds which episode was going on. Because but I still watched them. Well, yeah, of course you would still watch them. And and so to give the timeline to people, Star Wars came out when I was one. I was a little bit over one. Yes. A little bit over one. So I don't remember seeing Star Wars,
But I do tell the story that I do remember seeing it in the re-release at the drive-in, which means I was 3 because the re-release was in 1979. And I had to go to the bathroom. And nobody wanted to take me out of the car to go to the bathroom, but my dad did. My mom was like, "Yeah, I'm not.
No.
He'll be fine." You know, it's like
Hold it.
we have boys. You know, if you'd had a girl at that point, maybe you would have taken her, but most likely, no. Yeah, just put some toilet paper.
Well,
on
in
the
those
seat.
days, men could not take daughters into bathrooms. It just couldn't be done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I do remember seeing that, but I do remember seeing everything else from Empire Strikes Back onward in the theater, even though I was 4 seeing Empire Strikes Back. Felix is going to be 6 and he hasn't seen any of them, but I think slightly different times, you know. You don't want to upset them. You don't want them to see Star Wars for the first time and be terrified. And also you don't want them to see Star Wars for the first time and be bored out of their mind. So that's why anybody who thinks you show them chronologically and you start with the Phantom Menace, honestly, I think Child Protective Services need to be called on those parents.
That's right.
Because you got to put your best foot forward. You start with Star Wars. You watch them in the order they came out. That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
And there's a dad who filmed. I think the whole video is just their kid reacting to Empire Strikes Back when they watched it, and when. Spoiler alert. When Darth Vader says, "I'm your father," he was like, "What?" And it's actually pretty great. That I think was, you know, obviously I was the perfect age for Star Wars. My brother and I, we had all the toys, and boy, did they get beat up or unfortunately have misadventures with lawnmowers because we left them in the yard. It happened.
I know.
But I still have boxes of them downstairs. If you guys are good, maybe I'll open them on camera one time, but just one time at some point. But I will. My excuse was always I'm saving this stuff for my kids, but my kids don't get to touch these things. You think Felix is reading my Uncanny X-Men 141 signed by Chris Claremont? No, it's not. They're for the kids in the way that.
I didn't even know you had that.
Well, yeah, I've got good stuff. I've got a couple of things down there. I think that Star Wars is great for when you're kids, but I always point out, I say that Star Wars, it's accessible for dumb people. You need to be a little bit smarter to actually appreciate Star Trek because they take the time to explain the science and stuff, and it's all made up bullshit science, but they take the time. And part of that is the fact that it's a TV show and they're like, well, we can get about 8 seconds of action. So let's sit in the ready room and talk about it for 4 minutes and explain what's going to happen because that's how we can structure it. But it's like they always put the science in the science fiction. They feel like they need to explain all of it. Whereas, you know, other times they're just like, nah. What's science fiction, you know, from that point forward that is popular that you didn't like? We both like Quantum Leap. We talk about that show a lot. Scott Bakula carried that show. I love Dean Stockwell, though. I have to say,
he's good.
The two of them together were fantastic.
I actually prefer him in things now because I want to like things that Scott Bakula is in, but I don't.
Yeah, I can't watch NCIS Los Angeles. That's how bad Star Trek Enterprise was.
Oh, Los Angeles. He's in
New Orleans. Thank you.
We finally did watch it, but only because of him.
No, and it's not. Yeah, he ain't that good that you got to watch NCIS New Orleans. But so
the one I did not like.
Yeah.
Was 2001, A Space Odyssey. But then I wasn't stoned in the audience.
Yeah, that's the mistake. Yeah. But don't worry, everyone. She's stoned now. So that's why she's enjoying your questions as much as she is. I think that I'm trying to think of what some of the big shows have been. Because of the age I was, I really liked V, the lizard people, where they would rip their faces off. Yeah, they do, but you watch it more recently, and you're like, ooh, they could have spent a couple bucks on this thing.
What's his name? Robert Englund. He was my favorite.
Robert Englund was fantastic on V, and also not that you ever watch horror movies, but you know, if you could do a cut of him in Nightmare on Elm Street where he's not actually killing people, you would find him delightful. Because I always say that Freddy Krueger, it's like Spider-Man gone wrong. because he makes a lot of jokes while he's, being a serial killer. But yeah.
But that's Dexter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. So let's see. There were a couple of Star Trek questions in here. Sam points out that Bill Shatner is 90 now and still going strong. I mean, I don't know how strong, but he's still there. As much as people like to tease him, I got to give him credit. I heard an interview with him in the last few months, and he's as together as you can be at 90.
We loved him on Boston Legal.
Oh yeah, people did. Yeah, him and James Spader.
Yeah, they were great.
Dominica Saxon loves that you're a Trekkie, and Sam also wants to know, what did you think of Star Trek: The Next Generation? There's multiple prongs to that question. What did you think of it when it started?
Oh, well, it was just remakes of the old episodes, but I still watched it, and I watched every episode. I don't like Q. So when I watch it in reruns, I don't watch Q episodes.
Everyone who's seen me on Star Trek shows is like, oh, that's where you get it. Well, so the reason I don't like Q, I think that actually John Delancey, the actor, is fabulous for a character who has been written for him on a page, and he brings it to life. He's going to be in the next season of Picard, by the way. So you're going to have to deal with that. Yeah. So, and I don't know how they're going to explain how an immortal, omnipotent being got so much older, but they did it for Data. So go ahead.
Yeah, really.
But what it comes down to is Q is magic and Star Trek isn't magic. There are exceptions. There's, are you all caught up on Discovery?
Yes.
So you saw season 3?
Yes.
So there was the return of the.
Of course, I'm caught up on Discovery. Really, Christian.
What's the portal from City on the Edge of Forever? What is that thing? The Guardian.
The Guardian of Forever.
So that came back, and then people were very quick to point out, I was like, well, that's magic. I'm like, all right, it's fine, but it's not the kind of magic where you can do anything. Well,
and they explained it.
Yeah.
The science on Star Trek is complete and accurate. I heard a spokesman say that over and over again when people were asking him about things.
Yeah. But I think that you can tell Next Generation when it's going to be good and when it's not. If Jonathan Frakes doesn't have the beard, and I'm sure she's delightful, but if Denise Crosby is on the bridge as Lieutenant Tasha Yar, you know that's not going to be a good episode to watch. If he's got the beard and she's already dead, eaten by like a glue monster or whatever that was, the show's better and only gets better from season 2 onward. When people felt like, because once it was on Netflix, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to watch the whole thing. I'm like, you might want to start with season 2. But nobody listens to me. But then they talk about how bad it was. And it got so that it was terrific, except of course, hamstrung by TV budgets for that time period.
But I believe we sat as a family and watched it every single week.
We would, yeah, we would watch. I believe it was on Saturdays.
We'd watch that one. What was it called? The one with the aliens that came to Earth and were refugees. I'm sorry, refugees. And they had they didn't have any hair. They had some kind of.
Are you talking about Alien Nation?
Yes, Alien Nation. We used to watch that.
There was the TV series of that.
Yes.
But on the Star Trek point, Raging Rhino, if you like Trouble with Tribbles, did you like the DS9 episodes, Trials and Tribulations? Remember, that's the one where they go back and they've inserted themselves into the episode.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And DS9 is not one of my favorite Star Treks, but I haven't watched it in years.
The later seasons are actually really good. The show that I didn't like was Voyager because apart from Mrs. Columbo, I literally hated everyone on the bridge. I thought she was good. She was a good presence, but I hated every other character. And I'll say this on all the Star Trek shows that I do, how much I dislike that show. I never finished it. I believe I watched the finale just to see it. But I
prefer that one to the one with Scott Bakula.
Enterprise. Yeah, I mean, and then the last episode of Enterprise is just it's the worst. It's like a slap. It's like it's like the season of Dallas that was just a dream. The whole series was like it's Will Riker's walking around, and the whole series had been like a simulation of him trying to learn about the original crew or whatever. And it was like, all right, I guess if you want to do that, but back to Star Wars for a second. Dominica Saxon, you mean there's more Star Wars movies past the original 3? A lot of people will tell you no. And I think if you watch those 3 and you're like, okay, I'm good, that's fine. You don't. All the rest of them are just gravy. I like some of the other ones. What did you think of the most recent trilogy? Not Rogue One, but the 7, 8, 9
Disney book
with Rey and Finn and
they're just
Poe
the same
Dameron.
Story over and over. The exact same story as the original Star Wars.
There have been, if you count just the trilogy movies, there's 9 trilogy movies. 3 of them are about the Death Star. A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, and of course,
those I like. I'm talking.
No. But then The Force Awakens is also about the Death Star. The Force Awakens was the first of the new ones, the first J.J. Abrams one, and that was just like, hey, remember the story from the other one? Yeah, we're just gonna do that again. And
A New Hope, I really liked. I liked the Solo movie.
That was fun. I liked that one. I said that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think which ones I liked.
Yeah.
The others, of course, I go see them.
Yeah.
I would watch them again, but they're just the same story.
Yeah, and the prequels all have moments that are fun, but I don't think any of them is actually a good movie. But boy, if you take those 3 prequels and you make a solid 2.5 hour movie out of just all 3 of them, you could probably get something there. Dominica Saxon, if he was good in the 80s, but pretty sure it would fail now. And then Raging Rhino points out it did fail when they tried to reboot it a few years ago. The only good thing about it was Morena Baccarin, who I believe was from Firefly, but also people knew her from Gotham. And Dominica Saxon also says a lot of the tech on Star Trek is now in our everyday lives. Well, that's the interesting thing, because the tech was so far off. It was like Kirk's communicator was a flip phone, but it wasn't even as good as a flip phone. You couldn't text with it. You couldn't call someone. You could just open and talk to the bridge. It wasn't like you couldn't flip open your flip phone and be like, call Sarek. You couldn't, so I think that it's interesting, when you get what science fiction future technology is going to look like. And Star Trek has a lot of examples on that. And that's stuff that they had to kind of rectify with Discovery, because you're like, well, this is 10 years before the original series, but the tech is so much better than it was on the original series. And then they try to explain it with Pike, I don't like any of that fancy stuff. I like the old stuff. I'm like, all right, I guess Pike, if you say so.
The reboot that was really good was Battlestar Galactica.
That was good. I thought
it became very dark as opposed to that.
Well, the source material was not strong. I think that the original pilot movie, which was released theatrically around the rest of the world, was good because they spent some money on it. But the biggest problem with Battlestar Galactica, going back to watch the original one, was that they would just use the same flight and space fight sequences in every episode. It seemed like it was just, the show was actually popular, but ABC was like, we can't spend this kind of money every week. So then they did Galactica 1980, where they took out literally everything that was good about the show. No. They gave Lauren Green a beard, and that it was just downright terrible. Yeah. Although there's one with Starbuck, Dirk Benedict, whom I've met.
Uh-huh.
I
have not.
I have an A-Team season set that I got from when Heather worked at Universal. I have it signed by Dirk Benedict, Dwight Schultz, and Mr. T.
I like Dwight Schultz.
He was good on. He was also good on Next Generation.
Yes, he was. He was fabulous.
Was his name Reg?
Reg.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And great comment on Kate Mulgrew that she was only good on Remo Williams. My wife worked with Kate Mulgrew on Orange is the New Black. She was on that show. And this is a great point about Captain Kirk. Dominica Saxon says, Kirk was trying to sext on it all the time. Yeah, but it didn't work. He was just like, you got Hinge on this thing? Can I swipe right on some green dancing broad? And the answer is no. In general, if we're talking about Discovery, you've seen all 3 seasons. What have you thought of that show? Because that's the most current. Yeah,
it's theatrical quality.
Yeah,
I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, I my line about it is always that it's the best show on television, except it's not on television. You had to have this crazy cockamamie app, CBS All Access, now Paramount All Access. Dominica Saxon didn't want me to read that text that Kirk was sexting, but it's a little too late now. By the way, Raging Rhino points out his name was Reginald Barclay.
Yes, that's
that
right.
was
Barkley.
That was Reg's name.
Yeah.
I think that just the amount of money that they spend on an episode of Discovery, it's apparent, and most of it is because like they sold it to Netflix around the rest of the world, except in Canada, it's on broadcast television. But so Netflix just pays so much money, and you know, I think they pay like $4 million an episode for the foreign rights. And they actually pour it into the show, but I think it's good. I think it's a good mix of characters.
Yeah,
characters who I didn't like when the show started won me over. I didn't like Saru, but he's my favorite character now. Like there was a point where I legitimately thought he was going to die and not be on the show anymore, and I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, I got to watch everybody else now. But
I like Tilly a lot too.
Yeah, she is the other one that Tom Kelly and I did a whole show about how much he hated her. Like we did that the first like month that the show was on, and I think she's been a fun character. What did you think of the Picard series?
I liked it a lot. It had a few flaws.
You mean like where the most famous man in the universe puts on an eye patch and no one knows who he is?
Yes, that might have been a flaw.
Did that have anything to do with it?
Yeah, that might have been
there's a little bit of that. Yeah. But then also the fact that the doctor on their ship is a murderer, and then everybody's like, all right, it's okay. Really. We still like you because you're so quirky. Yeah. Like, hey, nobody that quirky that you should let them murder somebody.
But I love to see Riker and Deanna Troi together with their daughter. I'm sorry, I hit the table.
You did hit the table again because I can hear it really well. I thought it was great to see Riker and Troi again. And then there's all the friends. You know, we did get to see Data again, but all the friends we didn't see. No Geordi, no Worf, but maybe coming up.
By the way, Barkley shows up on that show you don't like with Kate Mulgrew.
Oh, on DS9.
No, I'm sorry. The other one, the Star Trek you don't like, Enterprise. No, not Enterprise. What's the name of it?
Voyager is the one I didn't like.
Yeah. He's on that. He saves them.
Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know.
Corby makes a great point. I'm a little disappointed that I haven't seen your mom take one shot during the show. You keep hitting your cup, but she hasn't. Get your mom a drink. We want to hear the good stories. My mom doesn't drink, actually. So I picked that up. I picked that up on my own. That's my own habit.
One of my favorite stories about Christian.
Oh, it's me.
He was a year and a half old the first time he corrected me.
I can't believe I waited that long.
He was on my shoulder. We were looking at a house. We were house hunting. And the lady said to me, "What's the baby's name?" I said, "Christian." And he looked at me and said, "No, Baby." Because he thought his name was Baby. Yeah. Because everybody said, "Look at the baby."
Yeah, of course.
He corrected me when he was 18 months old.
Well, you know.
And you've been doing it ever since.
No, I haven't. Corby points out I don't really drink either, but if you were my son, that would probably drive someone to drink.
You know.
You get ready for an interesting answer here. What are your favorite shows to watch now? And Cami Egan, thanks for hanging in there and not going back to work. I appreciate helping people be less productive in their professional lives.
We don't have broadcast TV right now.
By the way, most of these people in the chat probably also don't have broadcast TV right now.
So actually, we're binge watching Madam Secretary. We have watched The West Wing.
Had you watched that originally, The West Wing?
Yeah, I had seen it, but Patty, my husband, hadn't seen it. And we tried to watch Designated Survivor, but we got lost on that one.
I like Kiefer Sutherland. I watched probably 5 or 6 of them.
Oh no, we're into season 3 before we dropped out.
Okay, that's crazy talk, but
I know.
It was an interesting idea, and then I'm just like, I just don't like what they're doing with it, you know. Yeah. So I tried on that one. Is Judge Judy still part of your life?
Well, I can't watch it in real time, so I have to watch reruns. But that's not a problem for me. I watch it on YouTube.
Yeah,
I can't get it otherwise. I can't get it.
And you remember the dark secret I told you about those judge shows, about why people go on them?
They get paid.
Well, no. So like if you're suing your next door neighbor and you're in small claims court, this is why it's small claims court, because it has to be under $5,000.
Right.
They'll get you to come on the show because they'll tell you, if you lose, we're going to pay her. So you don't have to. Right. And then the person who is doing the suing is like, oh, that deadbeat's never going to pay me. the TV company will pay me.
Yes.
So that's why people go.
No, I know
because
the
no, but I
shows
mean, just
pay
in
them.
general, people watch them and like, why would anybody bring this stuff up on TV? Because
get paid.
they want some of that cheddar, some of
Yeah.
that cake for the chipper. But
I love Judge Judy, but
Yeah.
I have to watch it in reruns.
Yeah. Kemi Egan says, thankfully work is over and I'm cleaning my house now. Well, thank
Oh,
you
my
for having
goodness.
us with you while you clean your house. We've tried to keep the house clean while my mom and her husband have been here, but we've made them stay at a flop house down the road. I knew somebody who I said, no, flip it over to the clean side of the mattress. And then I saw that side and I was like, go ahead and go back to the other side of the mattress. I didn't realize that was the clean side. But, we're not letting people stay in our house. You crazy? I mean, all you did was raise us. No, we don't have the room. We don't have a palatial estate.
Well, one of the times I stayed here, I was on a blow-up mattress on the floor in the living room. But that was many years ago, and I don't think I could get off the floor if I had to sleep on that mattress.
Well, that would
anymore.
be funny. This is a question from much earlier from Sam. Were you worried about Kiss's satanic influence like other parents in the 80s? I think that the satanic influence portion of Kiss, by the way, was when like I was a newborn, and I certainly didn't like you have to remember, Sam, that the band that I went to go see perform live, and my friend Ronnie was a fan of and got me into, they didn't even have the demon makeup. And I've told this story. I've told this story to people who I told this story to, I think I told it to Mark, who does the Kiss podcast, that the first time I ever saw them, they were on a show on PBS called 3-2-1 Contact. And it was about stage lighting and lights and refraction and all that. And I was terrified of like this guy who, I don't think they showed them like spitting blood and breathing fire, but like they just looked scary. So it probably took until I was 14 that I wasn't terrified of them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that, music and I guess comic books were considered to be satanic at some point, I mean, not even necessarily.
The Beatles were considered satanic.
Well, I mean, that hair, let's be honest.
Really?
Yeah. I was good when we were talking about music before, and I drop this nugget all the time, but one concert you did go to was you saw Peter Tork, Mike Nesmith, Davy Jones, and who did I forget? Is that all of them? There's just three? Davy, Peter, Mike. Is there just three of them? Or is there Mickey Dolenz?
Yeah, the kid from
who, when he was program director at WPLJ in New York, he went by Mitch Dolenz.
Excuse
me. So you saw them, but who opened for the Monkees when you saw them?
Well, I don't want to talk.
No, talk about it. It's funny.
Because I can't remember his name right now.
The greatest guitar player
I know. I can't remember.
So Jimi Hendrix.
That would be who opened for the
And what did you and your friends think when you saw Jimi Hendrix on stage?
Playing the guitar with his feet. We thought he was stupid. Well, it's not the same kind of music.
No, it was not a good pairing. And I think that's why people are surprised. And, it's we were talking about this the other day. Mm-hmm. A credit to the guys in the Monkees for realizing this guy's great. People should see him, but not realizing like, but the people who should see him, are not the ones coming to see us.
Not the teeny boppers who were in the audience.
Maybe he could open for Grand Funk Railroad.
Something like that.
Eric Burton and the Animals.
And he really didn't last on the tour very long. He dropped out by choice, I believe.
Yeah, I think he was just like, I'll play to like a tenth as many people who actually want to see me and not to see the Monkees. Yeah. But
so I got to see Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, exactly. Mickey and Mike are still touring. They're the tours. I believe Peter Tork has passed away, and I know Davy Jones passed away. Cami Egan wants to know: do you or did you like the Beatles? Since you just mentioned them.
Oh yeah, but right after their the big album everybody liked. Why can't I remember?
So there's
Sergeant
Pepper. Is you like that one, or is that when you stopped?
That's when I stopped liking them.
Yeah. So
it was up until then that I liked them.
But so you still like Rubber Soul is the one that has like Norwegian Wood and Nowhere Man, and that's the one that
we were singing that the other day, Patty and I.
Yeah,
Nowhere Man.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because your cutoff seems to be where most people started to respect their ability as musicians when they weren't just doing "She Loves You," yeah, and I Want to Hold Your Hand, and stealing Chuck Berry songs,
Yeah.
But I know it's look, if you're buying tickets to see the Monkees, you probably you might turn down Helter Skelter. It might be a little too loud for you.
Oh, please. Well, and once Yoko showed up, forget that album with her.
Well,
and John.
Yeah, there's a few albums where there would be like, there'd be the one George Harrison sitar song, and I'm like, okay. But then it was like, oh, and then John and Yoko are going to do a song too. But the thing about the White Album is that it's a double album, so you still have like, Blackbird, and then you have this stuff that John thought was silly, like Obla Di Obla Da. John's not necessarily wrong about that.
Yeah, but it's
catchy,
and you can dance to it.
Yeah,
that's what they always say.
Cami Egan met Mickey Dolenz about 5 years ago at the Fest for Beatles fans there in Chicago. Rubber Soul, a favorite of theirs as well.
I owned Rubber Soul, of course, on vinyl.
Right. Well, no. I was going to say you couldn't have owned it on 8-track. That's still too soon for that.
Yeah,
but
no, they didn't have any options other than vinyl. When
yeah,
I was
that's one of those things that somebody referenced earlier is kind of growing up with music in the house. I talk to these musicians all the time. I think I actually referenced this with a musician. The music that would be on in the house were 8-tracks. Mm. You had John Denver and Barry Manilow, and somehow I still developed a taste for good music anyway.
I went through my John Denver, Barry Manilow phase.
Yeah.
I got over that quickly. Then I went to the headbanging stuff. A
little bit, yeah. But, I listen to John Denver, and I want to go fly into a mountain. Do we got any more questions for people that want to ask my mom things? We're going to wrap things up soon. So if you've got something that's just burning inside you, let you know. Now, by there have been references to my career, so I've been able to help you get to see Late Night with Conan O'Brien.
Yes,
I believe we went to that many times. Actually,
I only went to it once.
Oh, okay. Well, I stood in the crowd a lot of times. We went like on a Thanksgiving, I think.
Yes,
once.
It was Thanksgiving.
And my cousin Michael, I believe, got soda spit all over him by a turkey puppet.
Yes.
And they gave him a T-shirt.
Yes.
I tried to have you get spit on so you would get the T-shirt, but it didn't work out that way.
I went to the Rosie O'Donnell show many times when you were working.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. And I would try to get it when I'm like, oh, they're gonna give you something good. But it didn't always work that way.
No.
Yeah. Cami Egan points out, my mother still loves Johnny Mathis with just a big old vomit emoji right there.
I had a very short period where I liked Johnny Mathis.
This is a terrible question, Dominica Saxon. What brings Mom Blatt to California? I'm sure it's not to see Christian.
I have 2 grandchildren here. Come
right.
on.
Yeah, it is not to see me because she's seen enough of me. Yeah. She can watch me on the Bladtcast.
Really?
But
I had to learn how to text and read Facebook so I know what my kids are doing.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm going to advertise about it, on the podcast. Now, are you able to sit through the shows where I'm on with those 2 knuckleheads, Will and Jeff, or are those ones harder to watch because sometimes it gets a little saltier than it should be?
Well, it gets very salty sometimes. Yeah. The ones I don't watch are the Marvel ones because I don't watch Marvel stuff. I watched WandaVision, which was good, but I don't know quite what you're talking about. But there was a lady sitting next to us waiting for our plane in the handicap section. I'm not quite sure how handicapped she was, but she was a big Loki fan, and she was going on and on and on. Older than Patty and I, by the way.
Yeah.
Going on and on and on about how great Loki is, and she started showing us pictures of her dressed like Loki.
Wow.
Yeah.
My luck. She would have been in the middle seat between
you and Heather.
Yeah. Loki's been good. There have been 4 of them so far. David Hines, didn't even know you were watching, buddy. Which of the Bladtcast co-hosts are your favorite? Liev? If I had to guess, it's probably going to be Will. Because he looks like Superman.
Well, and I've been to his house and he cooked us barbecue. I mean, how can I not say Will?
He doesn't live there anymore. But
well, I understand that, but I was there when he did.
And Cami Egan wants to know: have you seen any of the Marvel movies? The movies you tend to see.
I see the movies. You were right about Wonder Woman.
Okay, so that's not a Marvel movie.
Oh, it's not. I'm sorry. Yeah. So tell me what the Marvel movies.
You're probably going to be right about most of them, but in terms of it's the Avengers movies.
I've seen a lot of the. I like Iron Man.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of the. What did you say? The Avengers. Would that be X-Men?
So yes, the X-Men characters are Marvel characters. The movies that have come out so far are through a different studio, but now Disney owns Fox. So yeah, but yes, those are Marvel characters.
Okay,
And
I
some
like
of the
the
X-Men
X-Men.
movies, some of the X-Men movies are good.
Yeah, I like the X-Men.
Some of them aren't, but
Yeah.
some of them are good. And I'm trying to think of which ones I would think that you would probably like. But the Avengers ones are good. Do you like Thor?
Did we watch Thor? I think we watched Thor.
What about Captain America?
Many years ago. I haven't
Okay.
seen a recent Captain
Well,
America.
the first Captain America is the one that is his origin story in World War II is probably still my favorite because they've managed to take like a war movie, not my favorite genre, but you turn it into a war movie, superhero movie hybrid. Yeah, so that's the answer. She's seen some of them, but Wonder Woman 1984 did you see the more recent Wonder Woman, the one that's set in the 80s? Is that the one you saw, or did you see the original Wonder Woman where it was in World War One? But was it with if it was in World War One, that's the good one. If it's in the 1980s with almost no 1980s music in it, that's the bad one.
Yeah, that's the one we saw.
Oh, that's not good. Yeah.
I know that wasn't good.
Yeah, well, I did tell you. I definitely warned you.
I think I saw that one in the theater.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was out in
theaters. I fell
theaters.
asleep.
Yeah.
So then we tried to watch it at home, and I said, "Okay, this is why I fell asleep."
Yeah, because it's just it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Well, let's think about what else we need to talk about. We've spent a lot of time talking about how terrific I am, which is obviously the most important part.
Well,
of the show.
uneasy, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is it could have been an hour and 15 minutes of just talking about Raging Rhino. Do not get me started on Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
Now all of a sudden the phone is going. I'm going to ask that you don't answer it, no matter who it is. But here, I can turn it off. There we go. Yeah. So don't get Raging Rhino started on Wonder Woman 1984, and that's someone who saw the theatrical cut of Justice League in the theater 7 times, and even he could not stand for Wonder Woman 1984. Just a colossal flop of a follow-up. It was not a great choice, but that's all right. You know what? She'll get another movie. Don't worry about it. Raging Rhino. Oh, this was pretty funny. Mom, your phone was just ringing. So Corby says I'll call back later.
Okay, I'll talk to you later, Corby. Thank you.
Anyway, so we've got a few more days here before my mom heads back home, and a few more things to do. I believe we might take the kids to the movies. So,
Peter Rabbit 2.
Peter Rabbit 2. Felix did notice an ad for Boss Baby 2, but I think we might go with Peter Rabbit 2. Peter Rabbit is not in as many theaters as it was. It's been out for a month almost, believe it or not. Wow. So, and now that I've been back to an indoor movie theater, I'm okay with my next movie back. Not necessarily, I didn't want my first movie back to be anything other than Black Widow, which is out next week. We'll be doing a Marvel movie talk where we talk about it. But I think I'm not supposed to talk about it yet, but I can say that I enjoyed it. I think that they don't. You
got to see it?
Yeah, I saw it last Monday. Remember, I was telling you that I went to a movie theater, and for years, what did I always ridicule you for your? Movie theater?
I always bring in a sweatshirt because I get cold in the air conditioning.
And here in Los Angeles, Monday was a particularly hot day. I think it was like 95. So I hadn't been in a movie theater in so long. I was just like, it's going to be really cold in there. So I brought my movie theater sweatshirt. Now, to be fair, I didn't wear it during the movie. I wore it in because I'm just like, my pockets are full, whatever. But I had it, and it was like Linus with a security blanket. I was glad to have that. This is important to Dominica Saxon. AMC relented and brought back the butter dispenser, so I'll give them a chance. Yeah, because when he went back, you couldn't help yourself to the butter. And Dominica Saxon, I don't want to spoil anything for you. You know that's not butter, right? That's butter. It's buttered. It's butter flavored topping is what they can't call it butter. Buttery
topping. Yes. Yeah. Buttery.
Yeah. And this is a conversation Sam and Dominica Saxon are having. Only good thing about Wonder Woman 2 is Gal Gadot. I'll disagree because even she's not good in it. And then Dominica Saxon's the only good thing about life is Gal Gadot. Anyway, so that'll be everything we have for right now, but we appreciate everybody talking about my mom. Usually I will, the Kemi Egan making the great point. Can't believe it's not butter. It's not, but so believe it. There's no social media to follow my mom on. You'll just have to, sometimes you might pop in on the chat. Except for when you're watching these shows on TV.
Well, I sometimes have it on the computer, so I can comment.
If you watch on the computer or on the phone, you can see it then. But any final words of wisdom about, how great your son is, or anything else you want to share with Bladtcast Nation?
I have no words of wisdom. You know that, Christian.
I do. I've known you for a while.
Yeah.
Well, we had all this time and we had no occasion to do it. Would you like to ring the bell just once? Okay, I said just once.
I know,
all right.
but I never listen.
In any case, look at this. Raging Rhino, what a good son. Pleasure to meet you. Tomorrow is my mom's 81st birthday.
Wow.
We're taking her out to dinner.
Today would have been my mother's 100th birthday.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I actually didn't remember that it would have been her 100th, but I knew that today was her birthday. Yeah. And Shirley. Yeah.
Don't call me Shirley.
Shirley was really her name, right? It was her husband who pretended his name was Roy.
Well, his name was Ellis. Roy.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. And if my name was Ellis, I would pretend that my name was Roy. Mm-hmm. Or Steve or something.
Bud.
And we appreciate Bud. I appreciate that D'Amica Saxon thought it was fun, and Cami Egan gives you a live long and prosper, which is probably always a great way to give it. Boy, there are so many people.
This means, oops,
but you're doing it the wrong way.
No, Christian, I have something to say. This means die young and poor.
Oh, well, nobody wants that one. In any case, thank you to everyone. I believe that next week, Will and I are going to dissect the Kiss documentary that aired on A&E over 2 nights. I actually haven't seen it yet. I think we're going to do that. And then get ready for a lot of Black Widow talk, because we're going to have that on Marvel Movie Talk, but also on the Bladtcast proper. But that's not for now. That'll be next time on the Bladtcast. I definitely didn't say you could do it that time.